Happening now on Grid Tonight. Surprise! Supercars picked up its third manufacturer. What does the addition of Toyota mean for the future and health of supercars? Callum Ilott is back in IndyCar. Can he help PREMA make some noise in his very first season across the pond? 2311 Racing re-signed Bubba Wallace to a contract extension. With this now behind them, can the number 23 team find victory lane before the 2024 season ends? Hello to all of our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program. I'm Kobe Lambert, and with me are Joshua Birch and Jackson Lambros from Outlet Media. We'll have Matthew Owens from the Ultimate Sports Radio Network joining us a little later in the show, and definitely want to encourage everyone to comment in the chat, ask questions, and support us through Super Chat. Now, Josh, take it away with our top story this season. Got a lot to talk about this week.
We really do, don't we, as well? It's been a fantastic week of motorsport news. Good evening to you. Good evening, Jackson. Thanks for hopping in. So, in a bombshell announcement that seemed to come out of nowhere, Toyota is joining the Repco Supercars Championship as the third manufacturer to compete alongside Chevrolet and Ford. Now, we'll see Toyota debut in supercars in 2026, and they've chosen the Walkinshaw Andretti United as its factory team. Now, Chevrolet has the Camaro, Ford has the Mustang, and Toyota will bring its GR Supra to supercars as well. Now, when the 2026 season rolls around, to go along with the two factory WAU entries, Toyota will also partner with another team that will be announced at a later date. Starting in 2026, Toyota have confirmed and committed to racing in supercars for the next 5 years as well. Now, before announcing this big supercars program, Toyota was already invested in the Australian racing scene. They have the Toyota Gazoo Racing Scholarship Series, the GR Cup, and the Toyota Gazoo Racing Australia Rally Team. Now, we've also seen Toyota have great success internationally in the FIA World Endurance Championship, World Rally Championship, and NASCAR as well. Supercar CEO Shane Howard called this a landmark moment for the series because it's a testament to the immersive popularity and international appeal of the series that caused Toyota to decide to join the grid. The graphic courtesy there of Supercars. Kobe's our resident expert, as Adam says as well, who is very, 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 very much another expert. This is awesome news regarding Toyota in supercars. Game on in 2026. Kobe, how monumental is this news for Toyota entering supercars?
Oh, Josh, this is huge for supercars, and huge is a major understatement. And I know for like the last handful of seasons or so, just like any other racing series, you get these rumors, that this manufacturer is going to join, but it rarely happens. Honestly, it's rare nowadays to see new manufacturers joining racing series. We usually hear about manufacturers leaving, but to hear Toyota committed to supercars for the next 5 years or so, starting in 2026, that is massive for the Supercars Championship, and gotta give them a round of applause because it just shows that the future of the series looking bright, and that the health of the series is in a very healthy spot right now. I know at the end of last season we were talking about what's going to happen next with supercars, with so many changes happening and all of that. And for Toyota, one of the most popular manufacturers on the entire planet, for them to join Chevrolet and Ford down under, it shows how much confidence they have in the Supercars Championship. And I think it's super, super exciting. And I know we'll talk a little bit about Walkinshaw Andretti United in just a little bit, but to pick a team like that, that's just fantastic to have that organization lead them into the future. I'm going to put the rendering of this Toyota GR Supercar back on the screen right now. That looks so sweet. Cannot wait to see that compete against the Chevrolet Camaro and the Ford Mustang. I think it's a really great day for supercars to have Toyota join, and looking forward to seeing them make some noise when they get on the grids. This is just spectacular news.
Looking at that render as well, I really want it as the Formula One safety car. Look at it. It's got all the sweet curves to be a safety car in a Formula One field. Maybe if Toyota and that lot can get up into any other series, get that car in and get it shown off. It is beautiful. I love the wing as well. Very suave. And if the render does look half as good, that'd be fantastic. Now, when a manufacturer enters a new racing series, they need to pick the right team team to partner with. And it seems like Toyota is off to a good start because Walkinshaw Andretti United is one of the top teams in supercars. They are currently third in the team standings and second in the driver standings, with Chaz Mozart as well trailing points leader Will Brown. Top team, top driver, and promising young talent as well in Ryan Wood. Once again, WAU will be starting over. They've fielded Holden Commodores and had a factory-backed program for a long time, as both parties enjoyed lots of success together. Then WAU switched to Ford in 2023 to kick off the Gen 3 car era, and their partnership with Ford will conclude at the end of 2025 after a 3-year stint with the Blue Oval. Now, team director Ryan Walkinshaw said that Toyota's commitment to the team and to the sport as a whole is a historic moment that shouldn't be underestimated. He's very excited to begin working with Toyota in 2026, but he emphasized ending their relationship with Ford the right way by focusing on the remainder of this year and next year as well. So, Kobe, did Toyota make a good choice with Walkinshaw Andretti United? And is it surprising to see them leave Ford, especially since they're one of the top 4 teams in Gen 3?
Yeah, I think Toyota made a really good choice to pick Walkinshaw Andretti United. That right now they're one of the top teams in supercars, and if you are going to enter a racing series, you want to get a partner who's going to do right by you and have a very strong group of people who's going to get you off the ground running. I think the Walkinshaw Andretti United group is definitely the right team for this project. But at the same time, like you said, them leaving Ford is also kind of surprising as well, because they're one of the top 4 teams in supercars, and when you look at all the 4 teams near the front, it's kind of stacked. You know, when you got Walkinshaw Andretti United, you got Tickford Penrite Racing, and also Dick Johnson Racing as well. You know, they've had their ups and downs, and we've talked about that on this show. So Ford is really stacked. So losing Walkinshaw Andretti United from the Ford camp, I think Ford's going to be perfectly fine. But obviously, I'm sure Ford's disappointed to see them go. But Walkinshaw Andretti United, this is a huge opportunity for them, you know, to be the sole Toyota factory team, where they're going to get all the factory support, all the attention from all the Toyota personnel, and they're going to be able to shape this program the way they see fit. And having a driver like Chaz Mostert, who's one of the top drivers in the Repco Supercars Championship right now, is very important to have someone like him leading this program. And I wonder if this could potentially open up some opportunities for Chaz Mostert to race outside of supercars, because I know Chaz has really enjoyed, you know, going outside the series, like we've seen some of the supercars drivers do in the past and race elsewhere, because Toyota has some great programs all over the world. We could potentially, you know, see opportunities in the World Endurance Championship. We know they have the Lexus and LMGT3, have the Lexus in the IMSA GTD Pro GTD categories, and other championships as well across the world using the GT3 platform. We've seen Will Brown, Cam Waters go and race, you know, Chevrolets and Fords over in NASCAR. Could we potentially see Chaz Mostert get a chance to run a NASCAR road course race on a Toyota? I think that would be a very good opportunity for him. So I think Toyota can really open a lot of doors for Chaz Mostert. And Josh, you already mentioned Toyota's great involvement on the Australian racing scene, and they can potentially, you know, have some of their homegrown drivers. You know, they can have their own Toyota racing development program down there in Australia, and they can develop their drivers from all those Toyota racing series that you previously mentioned and get them into a Toyota supercar, a GR Super, in the future. I think that would be really good. But getting back to the question, I think WAU is a great organization to lead Toyota, and I think Ford's going to be perfectly fine. But I'm sure, like Ryan Walkinshaw said, they're going to work very hard, you know, to send Ford off the right way. And I think Chaz Mostert, looking where he's at right now in the championship, maybe he can potentially take the fight to Will Brown and win this year's championship. And who knows what next year is going to look like. It's definitely a really great day for this organization. And Adam Lemery says that Walkinshaw Andretti United was known as the Holden Racing Team back in the day regarding supercars. Yeah, they were the Holden factory team for such a long time. And yeah, and they had some really great legends of the sport like Mark Scaife, Craig Lowndes, and a lot of other racing drivers. So this Toyota announcement is just going to add on to their already historic legacy.
Now, after spending the 2024 season competing in the FIA World Endurance Championship, a hypercar class, of course, for Callum Ilott, because the news was broken that he is returning to the NTT IndyCar Series full-time in 2025. Ilott will drive for PREMA in the highly successful and respected European open wheel racing organization's debut season in IndyCar competition. Now, in the past, PREMA said that they wanted at least one experienced driver in its lineup, and Ilott checks the box. Now, with 38 IndyCar races under his belt. This is a homecoming for Ilott, who returns to PREMA after previously driving for them during the 2017 Formula 3 European Championship season, when he won 6 races and earned 11 podiums. Ilott lost his IndyCar seat late last year and wasn't able to secure a full-time spot on the grid in 2024, but he got to run a few races for Arrow McLaren, with a highlight of 11th place at the Indianapolis 500 photo courtesy there of PREMA. Jackson's back with us now, who spent time in the paddock and has spoken with Callum Ilott over the season as well. Jackson, starting with you, welcome back to the show. How exciting is it to see Callum Ilott return to IndyCar? And is he a good young driver for PREMA to build up its new IndyCar program around?
Awesome to be back, Josh. Awesome for Callum Ilott to be back. It's hard to really call him back because, as you mentioned, part-time season with McLaren, almost saw him as late as Toronto with that whole kerfuffle with Porsche. But I think we see Callum Ilott as just on that cusp of maybe being a veteran guy and what he can provide. We know as a God-given fact, this is a guy that can really do good results, especially, off of the couch. It's a quality of, I don't have quite consistent results yet, but I have that ongoing ability to go out and provide top 15s, top 10s, and adapt quickly to new environments. And I think that is exactly what PREMA needs. If it's not veteran experience, it's adaptability that I think PREMA is looking for out of Callum Ilott, and I think he has a really great opportunity to provide for this very, very young team.
Yeah, totally. Really excited for Callum Ilott to get this incredible opportunity to race with PREMA. And like you said, Josh, PREMA said that they wanted their drivers to have IndyCar experience. When they said IndyCar experience, I thought they wanted someone, with a lot more experience than Callum Ilott has, in just his, couple of full-time seasons in this series, and then, a few races here and there. But I think, just nearly 40 races in IndyCar, I think that's enough to warrant a race seat. And we've seen a lot of potential in Callum Ilott. I really believe if you can get him in the right team, right environment, get him some stability, that he can turn into a star in the IndyCar Series. We already know what he can do on the road and the street courses. Very talented on those. I think he's developing into a very good oval racer as well. Remember what happened in the Indianapolis 500? He was on pit road at the start. Had an issue there, and then the crash in turn 1. Was basically a big break for him. And then he was able to catch up to the pack and have a very good race. Didn't make any mistakes, and really showed what he can do in this series. And I think that it was unfortunate, that the way the situation turned out at the end of last season, when he lost his seat very late and didn't have an opportunity to sign on full time with the team for this season that just ended. And for him to join PREMA, a team that he knows well, a team he's driven for before, I think it's a great fit, and looking forward to seeing what they can do together. And I absolutely believe that they can really build this team around him, and he can help them find some success in their first season. But I know it's not going to be easy for PREMA. Josh, you know better than anyone. PREMA, in Formula 3, Formula 2, other the junior categories up there, they're one of the most successful teams in the junior categories of open wheel racing in Europe. So they know how to win races. They know how to win championships. And I think it may take a little bit of time for them to get up to speed in IndyCar, but once they figure everything out, get some experience under their belt in the IndyCar environment, I think PREMA may potentially be a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. Let's not forget as well that PREMA's F2 drivers, of course, both next year will be in Formula 1. Ollie Bearman already made his debut for Haas, scoring a point-scoring position in Azerbaijan, beating his teammate Nico Hülkenberg. And Andrea Kimi Antonelli has already signed for Mercedes, and that deal has been announced as well. And everyone now looks to the junior run with as well in Formula 2 as to who could take over that spot at PREMA. We already know with Ollie Bearman not racing in Azerbaijan, Gabriel Mini stepped up and did a very impressive weekend. So it looks like Mini's going to head up into F2 next season. Who gets that second seat, however, is still waiting to be found as well, because, of course, that's been held by Antonelli at the moment. They won't get another chance to test it unless Behrman gets another call to Formula One for some reason over the weekend. But that's a problem for PREMA's team owner. And their team owner, Rene Rosin, said that Ilott's prior IndyCar experience will be an invaluable asset ahead of their first season in the new series. It was previously announced that PREMA would use the numbers 83 and 90 for their IndyCars. We still don't know which car Ilott will drive. Now, they chose number 83 because that was the year the team was founded, and number 90, the year they won their first championship. Now, Sportscar 365 and Racer.com correctly reported that Ilott would drive for PREMA, and both outlets also said that Robert Schwartzman could be their second IndyCar driver as well. Now, Schwartzman has tested IndyCar before with Chip Ganassi Racing at Sebring and set some impressive lap times. On the road to F1, Schwartzman won the Formula 3 title in 2019 before graduating to Formula 2, finishing 4th and 2nd in the 2020 and 2021 World Championships, all while driving for PREMA. But since 2022, he's been one of Ferrari's reserve drivers in Formula 1 while racing for the Prancing Horse and AF Corsa in the GT World Challenge Europe and the FIA World Endurance Championship, plus impressive testing with DS Penske in Formula E. Doesn't seem like Schwartzman will get to F1 full time, but IndyCar would be another great opportunity as well. Now, how would you feel about PREMA choosing Robert Schwartzman if the reports are correct, Kobe?
Well, I think there's a lot of great candidates out there for that PREMA seat. I can't count them on all my fingers because we have, unfortunately, we don't have enough seats for all the great drivers that are out there. It's unfortunate, that some great talents and some great personalities are going to get left off the list, once all the seats are taken. But for Robert Schwartzman, I think that this will be a well-deserved, well-overdue opportunity for him to race in a major open-wheel racing championship. You already mentioned all his accomplishments, Josh. He looked really good, at basically every level he's been at, taking the Formula 3 crown, finishing a top 5 both seasons in Formula 2. And then we're like, yeah, he's going to Formula 1, right? But unfortunately, just doesn't seem like that's going to happen, which is quite a shame for him. You can say that for a lot of young drivers as well who deserve to be in F1. I think Robert Schwartzman definitely has the talent to be a full-time Formula 1 driver, but just the way circumstances are, sometimes you just have to be realistic about what's happening. He's had some decent runs, in the sports cars and all of that. But being as talented he is in open wheel race, I'm sure sports cars is not where he wants his full-time career to be. And when you have an opportunity to come to IndyCar, I think that this is an opportunity that he should take it if PREMA ends up choosing him for their second seat. And also, you mentioned that test he had with Chip Ganassi Racing at Sebring. When he ran that test session, he was the fastest at that test. They were evaluating, just like a bunch of different drivers at the time. I believe Stingray Robb was there. Dan Cameron that day, he was in the Team Penske Chevy as well. Yeah, I just thought Robert Schwartzman was very impressive. Even the Ganassi team was impressed with the speed that he had. And reading some comments from Schwartzman that day, he actually had a lot of fun driving the IndyCar. And I think him returning to PREMA would be a seamless transition. Already knows the team, know how they operate. It would be very easy, and it would be fun to see how he gets along in IndyCar if he's indeed chosen to be the driver. But like I said, there's a lot of other great candidates out there who would be worthy of this seat, like a Teo Pourchaire, wondering what's going to happen with his racing career moving forward, because we really haven't heard his name being mentioned in the silly season as of lately.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Kobe. I think this would be an easy shoe-in at PREMA, if not anywhere else in an IndyCar seat right now. The only issue is this is, I believe, one of the most competitive silly seasons we're walking into in recent history, especially with Teo Pourchaire, who also fits that bill of F2 guy coming around with a lot of experience. You could say the same thing about Yuri Vips. Where's he going to end up? He could also provide that same level of results. So I think I could absolutely see him in that position, but it's going to be a matter of, can he bring funding? Does PREMA want maybe a little bit more, even more veteran experience maybe than Callum Ilott? Or, do you maybe roll the dice on a guy that's never had a full-time IndyCar season? I think the big thing for me that threw me for a loop was 2018. We saw Carlin join IndyCar and Chip Ganassi Racing cut off 2 guys, Charlie Kimball, Max Chilton. Both of those guys instantly went over to Carlin. Here we are, 2023. Ganassi cuts 2 guys. I was immediately expecting the PREMA announcement of welcome to the team, Chip Ganassi drivers. To be fair, we don't know who Chip's exactly cutting yet. but I was so sold we were going to see someone from Chip Ganassi in there. I would still consider that as a favorite, maybe a Linus Lundqvist or maybe Marcus Armstrong, and you have another former F2 guy in there, but I just think everything is so up in the air right now. Schwartzman's 100% a possibility, but it could be anyone there.
Could be very interesting, and we'll keep an eye on it throughout the week, as well as more announcements will surely be made as we are now in our off season for IndyCar. So just take a moment and very disappointing that IndyCar's ended because it was such a fantastic season, and then it ends with belts. Yeah, not the best, but well, you can't strap them all in. Now, third story of the evening as well. 2311 Racing has re-signed Bubba Wallace to a multi-year contract extension to keep him in the number 23 Toyota for the next few years. A few weeks ago, Wallace seemed nervous about whether or not he'd get to stay with Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin-owned team due to their stance in the charter negotiations. However, a deal was able to get a deal done, and now Wallace can focus on trying to find victory lane for the 2024 NASCAR Cup season ends. Now, at the moment, Wallace sits 19th in points and missed the playoffs, but he has 1 pole, 5 top 5s, and 10 top 10s. Nice and easy to roll off the tongue there. It definitely hasn't been the year Wallace was hoping for, especially when teammate Tyler Reddick won the regular season championship and is currently one of the favorites to win the Bill France Cup. Now, Reddick has 2 wins, 2 poles, 11 top 5s, and 19 top 10s. There have also been rumblings that 2311 plans to start up a third full-time team next season and buy a third charter. We don't know if those plans remain the same given the team's stance with the charter negotiations. However, the most important thing to focus on today is Wallace staying with the number 23 team and having stability. The photo courtesy there of 2311 Racing. Matthew Owens from Honor Sports Radio Network now joins me as well. Good evening to you, Matthew. Quick question for you then in this. Was there ever a doubt in your mind that Wallace wouldn't return? And despite the contract extension, does he need help to step up his performance when we go into 2025?
Well, first off, hello. Thanks for having me again. No, I'm not surprised that he got the extension. He's a huge part of this organization. He was the first big part of the organization, and I think he represents the team in the exact way that they want him to. And he's obviously a very fine driver. But to your point, yes, he does have to step up his performance moving forward because, and again, you mentioned it, our opinion on Darrell Wallace Jr. on the track is now a little bit swayed where it wasn't before, but it is now with what Tyler Reddick has done. Reddick in the playoffs and won a playoff race last year, advanced rounds in the playoffs last year, and now this year the regular season champion and maybe the most consistent driver on the tour this season, Reddick. He leads the series in average finish. Wallace is 13th in average finish rankings. Reddick is 3rd in the series in average starting position. Wallace is 12th. That's a very large gap between 2 drivers in a 2-car team. Now, granted, you can say the same actually with the 2-car team that 2311 is always compared to, which is Trackhouse, because they came in basically at the same time, and they've got the superstar co-owners, Michael Jordan and Pitbull. Daniel Suarez and Ross Chastain, their gaps in average finish and a lot of the statistical categories are large as well. But interestingly enough, Suarez is the one that's towards the bottom and Chastain's towards the top, but Chastain didn't make the playoffs and Suarez did. So that also kind of sways how you look at that situation. But with this situation, there's no doubt. Wallace has underperformed in comparison to his teammate. There's a lot of reasons for that. It feels like we've been talking about Darrell Wallace Jr.'s crew letting him down a lot on pit road. And it feels like we've been doing that for 2, 3, 4 years. We've been saying that. there always seems to be something going wrong on pit road, or the strategy isn't right, or something like that for the 23 team. But I don't know how much people are going to take a step back and think about that and the substance of it when you look at these numbers of how far behind he is from Reddick, who, as you mentioned, is one of the favorites to win the championship. I also think of RFK as another two-car team. How many times are we talking about Buescher and Keselowski being together on the track and together on the timing sheet and practice and qualifying? They're always so close to each other, it seems. In fact, Buescher, 3rd this year in average finish. Keselowski, 7th. That's a two-car team that always seems to be together on the track one way or another, but the 2311 cars aren't. And Wallace definitely has to get closer to what Reddick has been doing beginning next year or even down the stretch this year.
He's had a couple, hasn't he, Bubba Wallace, in terms of nearly wins this year as well, especially on the not the intermediate circuits, more in the high oval circuits that we go to. Do you reckon he can get one win before the season closes as well?
I mean, he certainly could. The tracks that Wallace is really good at, and the tracks where Toyotas are really good at, are coming up. Bristol and Kansas back-to-back, Las Vegas and Homestead and Phoenix too. Those are all Toyota tracks. You can certainly make the case they are tracks that fit what Wallace is and his profile of tracks that he's always very good at. The thing that I do worry about with Wallace, and I'm at this point not talking about the rest of this season, but moving forward, we always talk about he's very good at the intermediates. We always bring up a Kansas where he's won at before, Michigan. He's very good on the super speedways. He's a terrific drafter. He understands the draft at Talladega and Daytona and Atlanta. But we very rarely hear from him on short tracks. And we definitely don't hear from him on road courses, which is a place where Reddick has had a lot of success. And Denny Hamlin has had plenty of road course success too. And certainly Hamlin's had a ton of short track success. We're going to compare him to Reddick first and foremost. And then we're going to probably compare him to Denny and the other JGR cars because they are so tightly wound. That's where you would like to see the 23 team get better on those road courses and the short tracks. Now, granted, he's had better runs this year at places like Richmond. Even Martinsville, he started towards the front and ran up towards the front for the majority of the day. But that's where I want to see Wallace get a little bit better. And, of course, I would like to see him, and this has nothing to do with on track, I would like to see him be a little bit more positive. He's beating himself up so much. We know this about him, that something happens, something goes wrong, and he is beating himself up in the post-race interview and in the media, with the media. I would love to see him become more positive. Tyler's like that too, actually. But I would love to see Darrell Wallace Jr. get a little bit more positive, because I think that does affect results on the track at times. Not all the time, but sometimes. I would like to see him be a little bit more positive and give himself a little bit more grace.
Matthew, thank you very much for joining us tonight as well. And we've got Bristol coming up this weekend, our final race in the first round of 16 before we go into the round of 12. 4 drivers currently in the cutoff. That's Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr. and Harrison Burton as well. Certainly, I think 3 names there I didn't expect to be in the bottom half. So let's see what happens when we get there as well at Bristol this weekend. Thank you, Matthew, as well. You can tune to that on USON as well. So next we're going to bring back Jackson Lambrose as well, because he's filling in for Matt White and he's got the latest for us on our Grid EPI update.
Thanks so much, Josh. Looking back on this past weekend for Grid EPI, we got 3 races to recap, starting with World Endurance Championship, 6 hours of Fuji. Penske Porsche spoiled hometown heroes, Toyota Gazoo Racing, in their home event. Number 6 Porsche claiming the overall win in Hypercar at Fuji Speedway. Same crew that won the season opener in Qatar. Kevin Estra, Andre Lauder, and Lawrence Fanthor. In LMGT3, it's the number 54 AF Corsa Ferrari with David Ragone, Thomas Floor, and Francesco Castellacci. I tried this like 3 times before we went on, guys. Over in Shanghai, GT World Challenge Asia season finale, race 1, Alessio Piccarello and Anthony Liu took the race victory, and it was Bao Yuan and Hong Li Ye in race 2 at the end of this year's championship. Also, 24-hour series racing in Barcelona. That was won by Scott Noble, Ralph Bond, Jason Hart, and Dustin Blattner. Unfortunately, no updated EPI standings this week because Matt White is not here. Hi, it's me. But we hope to have it updated next week when he is back. Do have 3 EPI races to look forward to in the coming weekend. IMSA back at Indy for the Battle at the Bricks, 6-hour endurance race. GT World Challenge at the festival at the Temple of Speed in Monza. Super GT at Sugo Sportsland. Be back next with the latest EPI update when those occur. Obviously, Toyota with a big announcement in Super GT. That's not the only big OEM announcement in the past couple of weeks. Kobe has that and more.
Thank you, Jackson. Time for some more motorsports news from around the world. Hyundai Motorsports announced its intention to enter sports car racing in the coming years, with plans to field an LMDH prototype under its Genesis brand. In a statement from Hyundai, they said they were looking actively for ways to strengthen the image of Genesis and build a prototype eligible for IMSA and WC competition, which emerged as the most strategic choice for them. Adding that endurance racing presents an unparalleled opportunity to showcase Genesis' cutting-edge technology, design philosophy, and performance-driven character. Hyundai has been a part of IMSA's Michelin Pilot Challenge series since 2019 when they entered the TCR class. Also, Hyundai Motorsports established itself in 2012. We've mostly seen them in World Rally Championship as a South Korean brand, won back-to-back manufacturer titles in 2019 and 2020, plus 31 rally wins up to that point, graphic courtesy of IMSA. And now some IndyCar news. Following a career best season in the NTT IndyCar Series, Santino Ferrucci has signed a multi-year contract extension to return to AJ Foyt Racing in 2025. Ferrucci will continue driving AJ Foyt's iconic number 14 Chevrolet after finishing 9th in points, including a pole, 2 top 5s, and 11 top 10s in Foyt's best season in a long time. Team president Larry Foyt said the team is thrilled to continue its relationship with Ferrucci because they've really gelled over the last 2 seasons, crediting him for playing a big role in Foyt's recent success. Ferrucci said Foyt has done a great job building the team to put them in a position to win the Indianapolis 500 and compete for championships. Now the team gets ready for its most exciting driver lineup in a long time with the return of Ferrucci and the addition of David Malukas, graphic courtesy of AJ Foyt Racing. And after next year's Rolex 24 at Daytona, longtime IMSA team Magnus Racing will pause operations for the remainder of the 2025 season. Team owner and driver John Potter plans to focus more on his business commitments, which involve operating in commercial real estate and hotel property development. Potter is a gentleman driver who does this for his day job, and racing is an extracurricular activity for him. So when opportunity came up for him to make huge gains in the business world, Potter felt that it was best to give this all his energy over racing. Next year, Potter went on to praise IMSA for accepting this entry for Daytona in January 2025. And while the team will pause operations, Potter plans to continue racing in 2026, and he didn't rule out entering other races next year, depending on how his business commitments are going. For now, you can see Magnus Racing conclude its 2024 GTD endurance campaign with its number 44 Aston Martin Vantage GT3 this weekend at Indianapolis, and next month, a Moto Petit Le Mans with Potter, Andy Lally, and Spencer Pumpelly. Photo courtesy of the team. Sprint car standout Corey Day will make his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut tomorrow night at Bristol Motor Speedway. He'll drive the number 81 HendrickCars.com Chevrolet Silverado for McAnally Hilgeman Racing. This is the first of the 4-race program for Day in the Truck Series. He'll be in the number 81 for Bristol and Martinsville, then the number 91 for Kansas and Homestead. MHR General Manager Chad Norris will be his crew chief for these races. Team owner Bill McAnally praised Day's raw talent and speed, being a quick learner, and they're excited to help him in his transition to NASCAR racing. Graphic courtesy of McAnally Hilgeman Racing. And next, here are a pair of driver announcements for the ARCA Menard Series. Dawson Sutton will make his ARCA debut tomorrow night at Bristol Motor Speedway, driving the number 71 Rackley Roof and Chevrolet for Head Engine Racing. Sutton comes to Thunder Valley with experience and success in pro late models and super late models. He previously made a start in the Truck Series earlier this year at North Wilkesboro. Sutton said racing at Bristol is a dream come true because he grew up watching races at this track, and it's always an honor for him to race at home in Tennessee. Graphic courtesy. Well, your graphic on the left is courtesy of Rackley War, and on your right, Rev Racing will field a third entry in tomorrow's ARCA Menards Series race at Bristol for Logan Misaraka. She'll drive the number 9 Clean Harbor Chevrolet alongside teammates Andreas Perez de Lara and LeVar Scott. This will be Misaraka's first race of the 2024 season after making 3 starts last year at Daytona, Talladega, and Pocono to prepare for her first ARCA race in a while. Misaraka says she's been focused on physical training, heat training, and practice on her Podium 1 simulator. And check out a future episode of Women in Motorsports for coverage of her upcoming race in Thunder Valley. The graphic on the right, courtesy of Rev Racing. Big Machine Racing has signed Nick Sanchez to drive the number 48 Chevrolet full-time in the 2025 NASCAR Xfinity Series season. Sanchez will be sponsored by Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers and will continue his relationship with Gamebridge, who will appear as an associate sponsor. He moves up from the Truck Series after 2 full seasons. Sanchez won twice earlier this season at Daytona and Charlotte. Now he returns to Big Machine Racing after previously running 6 races with them in 2022 with a best finish of 7th at Martinsville. Team owner Scott Borchetta said Sanchez was fast right out of the gate when they put him in their Xfinity car a couple of years ago and praised him for the job that he's done in the Truck Series as he's continued to develop and grow as a driver. Borchetta also had kind words for his current Xfinity driver, Parker Kligerman, who announced that he's stepping away from full-time racing at the end of the 2024 season. Photo courtesy of Big Machine Racing. And now a serious story that we're going to talk about a few moments before tonight's show. CBS 4 in Indianapolis reported that the FBI conducted an investigation at the racing complex of Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan Racing, one of the most notable teams in the NTT IndyCar Series, and they also have a BMW factory team in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. According to Fox 59 in Indianapolis, the FBI showed up at RLL headquarters in Zionsville, Indiana this morning at 8:30 a.m. local time, and also have an article that I'll put in the video description after our show from the Indianapolis Business Journal. They reported more on the situation with the mayor of Zionsville confirming to the Indianapolis Business Journal that the FBI requested assistance from the Zionsville police for an investigation that they were conducting at about 8:30 this morning at the RLL facility. And the mayor said that the FBI was serving a warrant as part of a larger investigation. So they just asked the Zionsville Police Department to send some cars over there, and that's all that they did. And there was no information other than that. And also the Indianapolis Business Journal says they called RLL Racing headquarters and left a message, but that was not returned. They also contacted team spokesperson, who also did not comment. And one of their reporters went to the team headquarters at RLL and at right before 5 o'clock, and they said that the doors were locked. And also IndyCar commented as well on this story, saying that they're currently aware of this and they're monitoring the situation, and that's all that we know for the time being in this ongoing federal investigation. And if and when we get additional information on what's happening at Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan Racing, we'll report it right here to you on Grit Tonight. And now we'll shift gears over to Jackson for Pick a Winner.
That's a hard thing to follow up on, but we will keep you posted as we get information. Alex Dameron, spokesman for IndyCar, did tell Indiana Business Journal we're aware and monitoring the situation. We'll put that to bed for now. Pick a winner time, boys. Let's get that out of our heads. Got 2 events this weekend, kind of off kilter from the norm. MotoGP Sprint at Emilia-Romagna and IMSA 6-hour Battle of the Bricks. Let's start with MotoGP and you, Josh.
Same track we were at 2 weeks ago. They've done testing on 24 and 25 bikes. I think Ducati have got a little bit better of what's going on now with the front end of the bike, with the ride height. So I think this sprint race, it's going to be Jorge Martin. And then the Grand Prix, I'll just go with Pecco Bagnaia. Marc Marquez seems to have got the hang of it, winning 2 in a row, but we're not expecting any rain this weekend. So it's going to be Martin, hopefully picking up better points in the sprint, and Bagnaia with the Grand Prix. And that's the factory from Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan Racing behind me. I was able to get the green screen up.
Do I pick Jorge Martin or do I go different? I think I'm going to go different this time and give me Pecco Bagnaia to win the sprint race at Misano.
Shift over to 4 wheels now. IMSA Battle on the Bricks presented by Tire Rack. Start with you again, Joshua, for the GTP class. Who we thinking?
VLAN Engineering.
Okay,
I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna stick my neck out and stay there.
fair enough. 31. Kobe.
Okay, I'm going to go with the number 7 Porsche from Penske,
Ooh.
and I think that's where you're going as well, Jackson.
It was. I was gonna say that, and now, do I want to shake it up? I don't know. It felt topical because both Dan Cameron and Felipe Nasser have tested IndyCars. Cameron this close, or excuse me, Nasser this close, had a seat with Carlin. It's Porsche Penske Motorsports. It's Penske's backyard. I'm gonna take the 7. Let's shift gears then, if that's all we got for Pick a Winner. Let's talk about some hots and knots, starting with you, my friend Josh.
Oh, where were we over the weekend? Adam's gone pick a winner. MotoGP Hoy Martin.
Also with the 7.
Yeah, so pretty much similar things. Right. Well, let's start off with the great hot. What a race we had actually in IndyCar. It was quite exciting towards the end. It was a strategy-filled race, and I thought it was really well done by having the primary and alternative tires at Nashville. Beautiful end to NBC's broadcast career. A really touching tribute that we all had a lump in our throat when we were watching. Jackson, you were on the call. And think about it as well. I'm trying to remember what we had. We had Formula One in Azerbaijan. What a fantastic weekend that was. It's thrown the championship out. McLaren, for the first time since 2014, now lead the constructors. We're 59 points back between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. We're going to a circuit that Max doesn't like, that McLaren should go well at. And if McLaren are good here and at Monza, then they've got an all-round car. So I'm excited. And I also think we had quite an interesting final lap in NASCAR. Not that I've been able to see the whole race yet, because I've been busy over the past 3 days. But that was a great weekend. So a lot of highs up there as well. And I'm just looking forward to getting into this weekend so that it can be over, because it's a hellhole weekend when we've got Singapore, MotoGP, and NASCAR on, and touring cars, and it's going to be mad.
From Adam Lumerize, what's hot? NASCAR Cup Series at Watkins Glen final lap. I think Lee Diffie put it best. Shades of Keselowski and Ambrose all over again, right?
Yeah,
absolute banger finish, banger call, banger camera work. That's a hot for me. The wire cam shot through the bus stop. Oh my god, beautiful. Want to echo you with Nashville. White hot. Scott Borchetta, Music City Grand Prix organizer, put together a heck of a show. Turned down any doubt that oval racing cannot work in the modern age from an organization and a business standpoint. And we need to see that, as I'm fine with Nashville Super Speedway being the finale for the next 10, 15, 20 years, honestly. Other hot, Mercedes and AlphaTauri in Formula One. Red Bull, when you say that your car is too heavy to risk doing a special livery for a race, and you've got this dope teal livery for Patronus's 50th. You got AlphaTauri running the Gene car, the jar, if you will, for Singapore. Love it. So stoked. I'm a sucker for special liveries. Nuts. Joe Gibbs Racing. Yeah, man. It just feels like anything that could go bad has happened to every single car in that organization at Watkins Glen. And poor Dennis, man. Like, it feels like that dude cannot get out of any trouble in playoffs. So, known to have a little bit of a better track record at Bristol. So hopefully some better luck for them here on Saturday night.
I think not for me. Definitely the fact that you've got all the start time, and the start times for in NASCAR and IndyCar are always determined by NBC. Why put your last ever broadcast of IndyCar direct clash with NASCAR in a playoff situation? It was a bit daft. So that was definitely a not, because we missed a classic race at Watkins Glen, because we came off air and they'd finished at the same time, because we had JT, he was doing both. So that was annoying. And not for me. I don't like the fact that we're racing so late in the day in Azerbaijan now. We used to have this race in May and June. So over there, it's been in June for a couple of years now, And so the sun has always been at its highest. We used to race similar weekend to where we were in Le Mans. So the sun is later. Now we've moved it back to the beginning of autumn, fall. The sun is so low now in Azerbaijan, and it takes ages to set. It's a twilight race we race. So the cars coming down the start finish straight, you could not tell who was what. I was relying more on the driver tracker to tell me who it was than my actual eyes. And it did then play a factor in that last lap accident because the sun was so low down to out of turn 2, down to 3. Sainz on the normal racing line, Perez couldn't see him, and Sainz couldn't see Perez, and it ended up in a massive accident. And in a cost cap era, Red Bull already had so much millions of damage. That's another 2 million gone with that car destroyed. So yeah, it's not looking good. And another knot for me also, the final one, is Red Bull, because I was reading an article from Christian Horner and Helmut Marko, and Christian had said that they've traced back when the car, where the first bad update came from, and it was Barcelona 2023, and that update was put on both cars. Yeah, and Checo immediately said that something's wrong with the car, and it was from that race onward last year that Checo failed to win races and started having all the Q1 problems. And Christian literally said, "Well, you must be wrong because we're dismissing that because your teammate's winning races." They didn't know that there was a problem because Max kept winning races, because Max is a superior driver. He can carry that car. But now that the updates have got worse and worse and worse, Max now can't outdrive the car. And what Checo's been saying for a year and a half has now caught up to Max. So all this time we've been saying, oh, well, Checo's a bad driver, and all that. Like, why isn't he racing? It has been the fact that he's such a good driver that he has found the problem straight away where Max didn't. So I'm kind of having to issue a kind of apology to Sergio Perez for being so critical to him, because he had the problem detected immediately and Max didn't. It's weird.
That's incredibly interesting, especially when this Sunday we were talking about how much his future in Formula One is at risk, and even if we're going to see him race until the end of the season. But I think, no, that's 100% something that needs to be more public and have. We need more defense of Sergio Perez, I think, because he's been the punching bag of this whole organization that Helmut Marko has been running, and I think it just deserves so much more because, again, he's the one that carried that championship on his back in 2021, and it's been a roller coaster for sure, but they would be nowhere near the level of success without his services. One more update here, and I'm gonna have you wrap it up. Just to clarify, we've learned that from the Indianapolis Business Journal, FBI showed up to Rahal Letterman Lanigan's headquarters at 8:30 a.m. local this morning with assistance from Zionsville PD. We're executing a search warrant as part of a larger investigation that's been going on. Now, what that investigation is, we do not know. All we know for now is that there is no major threat to the public, and we will get you guys as much info as possible as it comes. Until then, Josh, it's been a crazy Wednesday night. Get us out of here.
Thank you, Jackson, as well. Yeah, we'll be keeping an update on that. And if we need a special show, keep across all of our socials as well. And we'll update you throughout the weeks. Taking a look at our current upcoming schedule. Saturday, Grid Live pre-race. That is going to be at noon Eastern. Sunday, our Grid Live wrap-up. That's going to be shortly after the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship race at Indianapolis. Monday, Grid Encore is going to be recapping ARCA, Truck, and Xfinity Series races at Bristol as well. Please do continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel here. Thank you very much for helping us reach 1,000 subscribers. Now we are well on the way to 2,000 subscribers. You can hit the bell icon to get notifications when we go on air, and you can follow all of our social media platforms and visit gridnetworktv.com. You can take 5 minutes to invest in the Grid Network through Patreon. You can join Colin, Mark, Deshelle, Robin, David, and Matthew, who invest each month in Grid Network, and we encourage you to join these fine folks to help us keep us on the air. Once we hit $500 per month, we can start sending our team to the track to cover more races. and continue expanding our coverage. The link to all of that is in the video description. And if you want to make a one-time donation, you can click on the Buy Me a Coffee link. You can get your name on the board and invest as much as you want. And you can consider buying a specific on-air personality a cup of coffee, and they will thank you on the air. This show usually goes on air at 5:30 over there. It's coming up at 6:30. For once, we're going to go off air earlier than that. Great show, everybody. Great show, everyone. For Kobe Lambeth, Jackson Ambrose from Outlet Media, and Matthew Owens from All of the Sorts Radio Network, I'm Joshua Birch. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bang on the time. Bye-bye.